Hello.
Hi, Beverly.
Hi,
Debbie's here.
Hello,
this is
everyone.
Chris. Is everybody on? This is Chris.
I don't know, Chris.
Kathy's
We're
here.
gonna run through right now. I'm sorry. Deb Listernick, of course. Chris is here. Did I hear Farouk? Hello.
You heard Jamie.
Okay, Jamie
Farouk?
and Farouk. All right.
Kathy's here.
And hi, Kathy. And so we're just waiting.
Millie's here.
Hi, Millie. So Deb, Jamie, Farouk, Kathy, and Millie are on the line, and Chris, of course.
Oh, this is Chris. I will be right back. The dog is howling. Probably take 30 seconds.
Okay, Chris. Just gonna check my email and make sure that people aren't having trouble getting in. Well, I don't see anything. So I don't know if Chris has to let them in. I don't think so. I think once the meeting is open. That's strange. Nobody else has joined us.
Hi, this is Greg. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Hi,
Greg.
Hi. So I cannot get audio through the webinar, but I'm on my telephone. But I can see your screen, so I can't unmute it. So.
Okay.
Yes.
So I
right.
couldn't hear any of what was just said there.
Same here.
Excuse me, this is Debbie. Are people speaking? I can't hear anything.
There's nothing, and I think we ought to go ahead and get started. The problem is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 6 members, so we have a quorum, so we can go ahead and get started on the regs. Because time's slipping away. We've only got 15 minutes.
Thank you.
Yep. So this is the Regulations Committee meeting. We are reviewing 309 CMR 8.0. I have added the changes that were requested last month, specifically changing the person to LSP throughout. And we had reached section 8.11 was where we stopped last time.
This is Farouk. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Regarding that one change of LSP and person, and if I understand it right, this LSP board regulation regulates.
Oh, by the way, hold on, Farouk. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to interrupt. This meeting is being recorded. Okay, go ahead. Finish your thought.
This is regulates the LSPs. That's true. Who are practicing within the MCP, and that is true as well. This also regulates people or a person who is not an LSP but acts or might act as an LSP, or do work that they shouldn't be doing. They are also should be covered under this regulations, and that's one of the reasons why, if we do change all of those persons to LSPs, then we may remove that part where the people who are outside and now they're operating within it, and they are also actually included in the whole. That's my thought. So it may not be
now, I mean, I thought we kind of talked about that at the last meeting. Does anybody remember? Because I thought we agreed that we would only be assessing administrative penalties against LSPs. But what you're saying, Farouk, is that's not so.
That's not so. No, we actually have I think that the case that I remember is Commonwealth Tank or something. There was a case where they were acting as LSP and not being licensed or authorized as such, and there were some issues with that. So there were penalties or decisions were against them, and the board took it.
Okay, but
I'm not sure that's really true. I mean, the state took action against them. How do we have jurisdiction over anyone that's not a licensed LSP? Don't think we do.
That was where it came from. I think there was no jurisdiction. The other thing is, I don't think that we have ever assessed an administrative penalty against someone for holding themselves out to be an LSP. I don't know that. I mean, but we haven't done it in the past 10 years.
The jurisdiction stems from, if somebody's operating as an LSP or acting as an LSP, not being an LSP. The jurisdiction comes when that person or an entity is operating within this environment.
I know, but to Deb's point, we don't have jurisdiction. All we usually do is send a cease and desist letter. Isn't that right?
I'm not sure, because against Commonwealth Tank, we had actions, if I remember it correct.
Well, again, this is just specific to administrative penalties. So again, I would check on that. I don't recall that, but I would.
Yeah. I think there was disciplinary action taken, but I don't think it came from the board. I think it was, the AG's office or something.
Oh, yeah, that's definite that the state took action against them.
Okay, so
Yeah, something to clarify.
all right, so that still means we didn't level an administrative penalty, but let me see if I can find the case. Deb, do you remember the name of the case?
No, but I mean, it's something, if you Google it, it'll come up, but I could do that if that's helpful.
Okay, and what are you Googling?
Well, the case against Commonwealth Tank, the decision. I know it was in the papers and.
Okay, so I'm sorry, that was garbled. What did you say? The case against what?
Commonwealth Tank.
Commonwealth Tank. I'll find it.
Okay,
TANK.
that's correct.
Okay, I'll do some research on that. And so the issue of person, excuse me, versus LSP only, I'll have to requires research. So, all right. Other comments, or can we move to section 8.11? Okay, other
Beverly,
than the first, yes?
Beverly, this is Greg.
Yes.
I'm happy to start at 11, but I noticed the section 8.01 has this kind of strange, this LSP appears several times, and it's a very awkward paragraph, and so I just think we should go back to that at some point. But let's just go ahead with 11 as you.
Well, no, let's do 8.01. Did somebody else join us? No. Okay, let's do 8.01, Greg. So you're saying it's awkward?
Yeah, I understand what the section is trying to say, that the penalty is only assessed if someone violates a requirement or the Mass General laws, and that the non-compliance has to be at a time when the law or license requirement was in effect and the LSP was subject to it. But boy, it's an awkward way of saying it. That's the only point. And I saw you made some edits there, and I just wondered what you couldn't have meant to have that number of LSP references in number 2.
Well, let's see if we can make the language read more plainly then. So a penalty will only be assessed for a failure to comply with Mass General Laws, Chapter 21A?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. A penalty will only be assessed for failure to comply with blah, 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 or licensing requirement that constituted noncompliance when it occurred. Is that better? Just changing that one word?
Yes, that's fine, but I would then put maybe a semicolon, say, provided that, and then have the two subsections.
Okay. When it occurred, comma, provided that, colon, and then subsection.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Nope. That, and then we can strike that first that. So number 1 will read was in effect. Oh, that's all. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you have a thing about defined, and I assume you mean failure. We're talking about failure to comply, and we should just say that. It almost is like you need to repeat it again. Go ahead.
Okay. So, how should this section number 1 read?
The requirements were in effect at the time of the failure to comply.
Failure to comply. I'll read this aloud. We've only got a few more minutes. 5 more minutes. I'll read this aloud. And what about subpart 2?
I was struggling with which that.
Yeah,
and maybe
yeah.
that.
Okay, so we know
and
we want
and
to
say the LSP. Just take out which that, and then the first LSP, and say, and the LSP was subject to at the time of failure. Even that may not work, but I think simplifying it a little bit would be helpful.
Well,
I'm sorry to spend so much time on this section.
No, we can clarify it. The LSP was subject to
which the LSP was subject at the time of failure.
But we have failure to comply. So you want to add the LSP was subject to at the time of the failure to comply.
Yes.
Okay.
I would take which instead of which that I would say to which the LSP was subject at the time of failure to comply.
To which the LSP was subject to at the time of the failure to comply. Okay. All right, I've got that. I'll make those changes and we can tackle it again. We've got 4 more minutes if you're satisfied with that. Is there anything else up until 8.11 that you want to talk about? Okay. All right, then we'll jump to 8.11 and see if we can, is there anything that jumps out at you guys other than the issue of person versus LSP?
Yeah, you may want to look at the chapter 21A reference, which is where it comes from. So.
Okay. I'm sorry, you say it should reference.
We should look at
21.
chapter. Yeah, we should look at chapter 21A. For some of the clarifications.
For 8.11, I'm not understanding.
For LSP versus person.
Oh. All right. I don't know if that's there, but I'll look at chapter 21A to see if it defines person or LSP. All right. I will do that. Can we very quickly look at 8.12? The same issue is there. And I'll have that resolved at the next review. 8.13. Any changes to 8.13 other than what's there? I know we've got a lot of formatting to do. I'm noticing that. Okay. 814, changes to 814. Okay. 815.
Sorry, can we go back to 814 real quick?
Sure. 814, yes.
I was just wondering if there was, I feel like we had started some discussions about, you know, the fact that we're living in a electronic world and different ways that things can be issued. Is there anything that we can or should be adding to this in terms of a method of issuing these things?
So you're talking about an update in technology may enable us to revise this section. Is that right?
Yes. I mean, maybe we can't by law. I wanted to raise it because obviously these regs were written a long time ago. So.
Well, it does have service in hand to the last known address. That's all. That's legal. Service to an officer or employee. That's the same. By certified mail.
Jamie, are you talking about Twitter?
Not so much Twitter.
Or to the last known address. Jamie, I'm thinking the only thing that we might be able to accomplish is adding by electronic mail, but that would require. Let me take a look and see how the courts, what the courts do about electronic service. Because they do allow people to serve via email. So we may be able to electronically serve. I'll research that.
Seems like it would be worthwhile to add it if it is feasible for us to do.
Well, if the courts accept it, then for legal documents, there's no reason that, because this is service of notice. So we are, in effect, serving a legal document. So it makes sense if the court allows service in hand and, to a representative or officer of the entity, that we should add electronic research. Okay. All right. I'll research for our next review, person versus LSP, looking at chapter 21, and also whether under 814 we can serve electronically. Okay. I think that concludes the regs meeting for today. And you're welcome. And now we're waiting for David.
I'm here.
Okay. So.
David is here. Are we ready to start the continuing ed meeting?
I'm sorry.
Let's do that.
Are we ready to start the continuing ed meeting?
Yeah. Yes, we are.
Okay, I'm calling it to order at 12:33. So on the agenda is a review of draft meeting minutes from January, but we did not receive them, correct?
Okay, let me give the explanation on the minutes. First of all, you should have been reviewing February's minutes. Since our last meeting, I have posted on the website. Sorry, there's a lot of. First of all, you should have been I'm getting a lot of feedback. Okay, so I have posted on the website the November meeting minutes from the board, from continuing ed, and from professional conduct. From January 2020, those minutes had been approved at the February meeting, and they were posted on the website. The board meeting minutes, the continuing ed minutes, and the PC minutes. As I said, indicated this morning, some of my notes are still at work, so I don't have the other two sets of February meeting minutes. The commissioners okayed me going into the office on Sunday, so I will send out continuing ed and board meeting minutes for February. That was it.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, but the other 6 sets have been posted. And then I have to start working. The final piece of it is I have to start working with whoever they've assigned to transcribe the meeting minutes that are virtual. I don't know what we're going to do about the board meeting minutes from the April meeting yet, but the virtual meeting minutes, once we get all these, get these last couple of sets reviewed and posted, I can figure out how to start getting the virtual minutes up on the website.
Okay.
That was it. That was it.
So actually, before we go on, who's on the call from the board?
Okay, so on the call now, Chris,
Yeah.
Deborah, Deb, Jamie, Farouk, Kathy, Millie, and Greg.
Looks
Okay.
like Gail's here too now.
I'm sorry, who?
I said it looks like Gail is here too.
Oh, okay. Well,
Sorry, I'm here. I have my microphone off.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
I don't
Beverly,
think-
excuse me,
Okay,
Beverly,
so-
I just noticed there's an email from Kirk Franklin.
yes, he's not joining us.
He is not able to attend.
Okay. So it's so David, for your roll call vote, it's Deb Listernick, Jamie Smith, Farouk Sadiq, Kathy Campbell, Millie Garcia Serrano, Greg McBride, and Gail.
Yeah.
All right.
So there's no old business that I know of. New business, there's 2 course approval requests and an announcement and an email from AEHS, the UMass conference. The first course approval request is from the LSPA for a live webinar and then on-demand course, 1 technical credit for December on doing public involvement at MCP sites during this latest pandemic. Make a motion to approve it.
Second.
Any discussion from the public or the board? I'll do a roll call. A yes is approving the course. Deb,
Yes.
Jamie,
Yes.
Farouk,
Yes.
Kathy, Millie,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Gail,
Yes, sorry.
and David is a yes. The second request from the American Groundwater Trust, I don't see that we got a request. It seems like we got 3 documents. One was a login sheet, one was an advertisement for the webinar, and the other one was short bios of the people presenting. So I don't really see an official request and how they did the webinar and kept track of people's attendance and how it's going to be an online course.
Yeah,
Also,
that was,
counts
that
of
was-
formal description and schedule.
yeah,
Say
that
that
was
again,
all
please.
they said.
Yeah, it appears that that one already took place on October 29.
Correct. But they don't
But I-
provide the necessary request information regardless if it's future or past.
I
So,
agree.
David, as to number 2, excuse me, what would you like to see? An assessment of learning?
Well, first of all, do people agree with me? Is that the only 3 documents we got for this course request?
I'm saying that it is. That's,
Okay.
Dave,
I'm saying that that's all they sent.
Okay.
I somewhere I think I read that this may have been presented before for the LSPs. Am I right?
Don't know.
I also saw that apparently this was presented given the quote success of the past presentation. So it sounds like this is a repeat.
But we don't know if it was an LSPA approved course or just that they're redoing it in general.
Yeah, because they offer it in different states. I see that they listed the credits for, I forget which state.
Yeah.
Well, I would make a motion that we table this pending them providing more information on how they collected attendance and assessment of learning and so forth.
All right, so you want an assessment of learning?
Well,
How,
based-
and what was the other thing, Jamie?
How they logged attendance. Is
Okay.
there anything else we're missing?
Well, what about the description and schedule? Was that there and I just missed it, or
there.
Yeah,
don't
that was there.
It's in
That was,
the-
I
that was
don't
in,
have it
that was in the
memorized.
sort of advertisement.
does that count?
I mean, it had a,
No, it doesn't count for what we're asking for, which is during the live webinar, how did they keep track of attendance? They gave us a sample sheet of how people signed in and out as if it was in person. And if they're going to offer it as an online on-demand course, how are they going to keep track of attendance and what kind of assessment and learning these are going to be? The typical language that we see from other course providers, there's nothing like that here. I'm not questioning the content or the hours. It's they need an official request with that type of information so we know how it was done and how it's going to be done in the future as an on-demand course. So I'm seconding Jamie's motion. Any other discussions from the board or the public?
I think I have the 3 things that you want under 309 request for approval, David. So it's just that they need to meet, they've got the credentials of the instructors. They also, I didn't see anything that requested a specific time. I just counted the hours for 6 technical credits. So I think they need that as well, but they need to comply with 3.096 like all the others.
Correct. And the number of hours they're applying for is typically what you would see in a request or a cover letter, and that's not here.
Yeah,
So, yeah. So
I've got it. All right.
So there's a vote on the motion to table this, requesting further information. Deb,
Yes.
Jamie,
yes.
Farouk,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Millie,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Gail, Did Gail respond?
Yes, sorry, I keep forgetting it's on and then I can't get back to it.
And David's a yes. Under new business, item B, course announcement to LSPA is providing their a course that they have approval for on December 3rd, the webinar online course.
Yep. And I've already issued their certificates, so they're all set.
Excellent, thank you.
Yep.
And then item C was an email from Brenna, AEHS Foundation, the UMass conference. It's simply an email saying, given our virtual format, are we able to offer LSP credits for recorded sessions and workshops as long as we can track it? Once again, I think they need to make an official request to let us know how they're going to track people, and I don't think they're going to have assessments of learning for people who would now be doing the recorded sessions. You know, everything was recorded and it's available for people who went to the conference to look at, I think up to the end of the year. And they're probably looking for a way for people to get credits for folks who went back and looked at some of the recorded sessions and workshops.
Yeah, I believe it's actually available till February even. So there's
Okay.
plenty of time. And I don't know if everybody else got it, but they're actually offering anybody who didn't attend to be able to attend now. So it might be that somebody could not have attended any live stuff and just be looking at the, you know, the recorded version.
So are we saying that that some of the learning and logging in, logging out, those requirements, and we waive it for them, or they need to meet those to be able to somebody now to attend? And
they did not propose this virtual seminar to also have it as an on-demand course. So they don't have approval to do that, and they need to make an official request for how they're going to do that.
That's true.
Which goes beyond just this email. So the answer is yes, but they need to tell us how they're going to keep track of attendance. And like for most on-demand courses, there's an assessment of learning because it's no longer a live webinar. And I don't know how they would ever be able to do that with the sessions and workshops.
And
Okay.
and there was very little assessment of learning anyway at the conference. Some of the sessions did have like polls to chime in on, and most of them did not.
Yeah, most of them did not. That was my experience too.
Well, lives don't do it anyways. You know, it's the
Yes, they do.
is when we go on and do the assessment of learning. So
No, the live webinars all.
The online version. It had to do with the online version. It was one of our requirements is to have the assessment of learning, but we clearly weren't consistent. I think one of the things we can argue is that for a conference part, that's part of the partial credit kind of thing. We could argue that.
Yep, I agree.
Well, Farouk, most live webinars, there's random polling questions to keep track of people's attendance. And
exactly.
I can't answer for this organization how they're going to keep track of people looking at these recorded sessions. So they need to let us know if it's possible, and if they want, they can make a request to have that approved.
Okay, so can I just, I'm sorry, I'm trying to get some notes. I'm sorry to interrupt the discussion, but David, you said that most webinars have random what?
Polling questions, all of them do. That's how we approve them. And if they want, they can make a request to have that approved.
Okay, so can I just, I'm sorry, I'm trying to get some notes. I'm sorry to
Hey, Beverly, I'm sorry, you just faded out there. I didn't hear any of what you just said.
I was just repeating what David said. There's a lot of feedback. I'm trying to eliminate some of the electronics so it's not, you're not getting all the feedback. But all I said, I was just,
Yeah, can everybody mute that's not talking?
yes. So, Jamie, to answer your question, I was just recording exactly what David said, that the answer is yes, they can apply, but they're going to have to officially send something, a request for approval that demonstrates how they will take attendance and how they will conduct an assessment of learning.
Perfect, thank
Right.
you.
So do we have to, we don't need to make a motion on this. It was just
No.
an inquiry, correct?
It was just an inquiry, and I will get back to Brenna based on what you've indicated. That
Great.
is, yes, they can apply to put the course online if they can put forward a formal request that includes how they maintain attendance and how they're going to conduct an assessment of learning.
And
Perfect.
can I ask a question here? Because one, there wasn't an assessment of learning in the original, so we have to take that into account, which is a problem. But the other thing I have is they didn't request it before the conference took place. I think we may have approved one like that for the LSPA, where they, after the fact, asked for the on-demand webinar. So that's fine. I just want to make sure we aren't violating anything by saying, hey, you can ask after the fact. That's all.
Anybody can prepare a webinar. I mean, that wants to do an online only webinar. They just want to convert the live, what essentially was the live session, into a webinar. I think that's fine as long as they can meet the other requirements.
No, but I think what they're asking is we need to be clear, because they've also said we can go back and look at anything. So what we're saying is, and I want to make this clear, somebody could get all of their LSP credits just viewing each one of these segments. Is that what we want?
No, we don't
Or do
want
we
that.
want to put
Now, moment it's, no, here's the, no, it's a live or on demand. Moment it's not live, it's on demand, and they have to meet all the on demand requirements. That's it.
Correct. That's what we're asking them to do.
Yeah, but Gail is raising a different point. What Gail is saying is that an LSP could enroll in this conference if approved by the board, and then get all of their 48 credits. Gail, is that what you're saying?
I'm saying it's. I haven't added it up. Yes, the answer is there's a lot of credits. There's a lot of, because you can get all of the workshops and then half credit for all of the sessions, and that's a lot of sessions. And I bet it would come pretty close to everything except the DEP credits.
That's not a problem.
We've never dictated how anybody gets their technical credits as long as they don't repeat, right?
Yeah. But other thing is that as long as it's an on-demand course and they have the assessment of learning in there, as long as they have that, that's fine. They can get all 48. They can get 64 credits on it too. Not a
So
problem.
if I can chime in, if this goes from a live conference, which is half credit, and goes to a webinar with a learning assessment, that goes to 1-to-1 credit.
Well,
Well,
let's see what. I think this is.
that's correct.
Kathy said if it goes, Kathy, I'm trying to get, if it goes from live to online, it gets 1-to-1 credit.
What? Why? Why can't it be an online conference? Would be an online conference.
It certainly can be, and that we've already approved.
That's what I think that's fair. I don't think there has to, or should be even maybe, an assessment of learning for the conference piece. There could be assessment of learning for the workshop because that's 1-to-1, but I think the conference itself covers the 2-to-1 issue.
Yeah.
And doesn't need an assessment of learning because they can record when you get in and when you get out.
Okay, so you're saying there should be an assessment of learning, Gail, for the workshops only?
The reason I'm saying that is because that's the way the conference worked. I mean, we could be online during that conference right, in real time, and there's no assessment of learning to prove we're there other than we're logged in.
Okay. Comment?
I don't agree with that necessarily, but I think we should just wait and see if they even apply to get approval to have this as an on-demand course material for people to get their CEUs and how they're going to do it. And then we can discuss it again, because I don't know how they're going to do that. Seems like a pretty high bar to me.
Yeah, I actually agree with David. Why don't we wait and see what they propose, and then we'll address it that way.
Yeah.
So we just need
Okay.
to make clear to them what the requirements are for a webinar, and then, you know, that say that we'll consider it, but they just need to come back to us with the formal request and how they're going to meet those requirements, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so can we just, before you, Gail, you agreed with David, and that we should wait and see.
Yep.
Jamie, you said that we should make clear what the requirements are. Can you just restate those requirements for me?
Just the requirements that we impose for any online courses, including how attendance will be tracked and how an assessment of learning will be incorporated into the content.
Okay.
So you have to direct them to that section of the regulations.
Yeah, and Beverly referenced that already, that she would include that in the reply back to Brenna.
Right.
Right.
So,
I always include the reg. Okay, I've got it. So you guys can go ahead and vote. I know you want the attendance and the assessment, and good luck to them on on the assessment portion. Okay.
okay, so
it.
it looks like the next meeting is in January. We're not meeting in November and December.
This is November, David, and we're not
sorry,
meeting in.
We're missing 1 month.
We never meet in December. Yes.
Right. The weather makes me think it's still October. So
Yes.
I'll see you guys in January, and hopefully there'll be snow and ice on my window behind me at that time.
We've already had that, David.
Yeah, but it's gone.
Okay.
So I'm ending the continuing ed meeting at 12:56.
Very good. Okay. Give me a second, Jamie, and I'll be ready for professional conduct. Okay. 1 second. Okay. Jamie. All set.
Okay. 1 moment, I'm just pulling it up on my screen. Call to order the Professional Conduct Committee at 12:57. So I guess we're starting with the review of the draft minutes from January. Everybody have a chance to take a look at those?
No, those are from February. And if you have, I'm trying to accommodate everybody because we're online. If you have corrections, just email them to me for the draft minutes. And again, all the minutes for November and January professional conduct have been posted on the website.
But
Okay.
if we haven't seen the corrections, we can't really approve the minutes right now then.
No, you can't approve the minutes right now, but you can send me the corrections and I can put them in and we can review them again in January. They'll be part of the January packet. So you'll have these minutes as well as, well, I don't know about the virtual minutes yet, but they'll be, your corrections will go into a new document that I'll have for the January meeting.
Okay. Just a note.
I'll go ahead and send my correction to Beverly.
Great. Okay. So just a note, Beverly, the agenda actually does say that the draft minutes are January 14, 2020, just so that doesn't get.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I know. Jen, all of these once I went back and looked at them, the board had approved the November 2019 meeting minutes at the January 14th board meeting. The January board meeting minutes were approved at the February board meeting. So what you should be reviewing are just these February meeting minutes.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yep, but yeah, you'd all
Right.
that was my mistake. The January meeting minutes were already approved.
All right, thank you for that clarification. Moving on to old business. When you're ready, Beverly, could you give us the CRT report?
Yep, I'm going to be skipping around a little bit because I'm just getting back into this. So I don't have full reports on all of the courses. I'm sorry, all of the cases, just some. I'll start with the public portion of 05C07. You probably saw the emails going back and forth. The parties appeared before Judge Patrick Hagan on November 4th. Mr. DeCoulis his presentation boiled down to 2 points. The board was arbitrary in not granting all July LSP's 5-month extensions, and that he was suffering reputational harm as a result of his lapse status. Within those arguments, Mr. DeCoulis emphasized the impact of the pandemic, and he also represented that he had personal issues to deal with. And I can say all these things because this was a public forum, and they are conducting these hearings via Zoom, but they're open to anyone.
Beverly, just to clarify though, we're talking about a separate matter, not 05C07.
Well, 05C07 is now a case in the Attorney General's office. So that is the case that we're talking about. Am I clear? Or
well, I thought we were just discussing was the issue regarding the licensure and the lapse, which isn't part of the disciplinary case, right?
That you're right. That's right. What
okay.
I'm discussing.
I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay. Yep. I'm sorry. What I'm talking about now is the preliminary injunction hearing that took place on November 4th. The board denied Mr. DeCoulis's request for further review and affirmed the denial of his July 29th, 2020 petition. So Mr. DeCoulis went into court asking for immediate relief. They again appeared before Judge Patrick Hagan, who heard their arguments, and Mr. DeCoulis again argued that the board acted in an arbitrary and capricious manner, that the extension till October 1st should have been given to all July renewal applicants. He indicated that his professional reputation was being damaged and that the pandemic had caused him not to be able to take any courses. But I had many conversations with Ms. Carr, so she knew that the board had allowed Mr. DeCoulis to speak before it on October 15th, that you had again reviewed his attendance certification forms, as well as his petition. The judge took it under advisement. Ms. Parr said that Mr. DeCoulis argued that it was unfair, but the court was made aware that in 2017, he took only a few courses, in 2018, none, and so forth. And he explained those things by saying that he'd had some personal issues. I believe I wasn't there. I'm just reading from a summary. So we're waiting for a ruling from the court on the preliminary injunction. That's 05C. The next case that I'm able to report on is 18C01. The CRT has scheduled a phone conference on the CRT report for November 20th, 2020. And the only other case that I'm able to report on is 20C03, which was administratively dismissed. Hoping to get back to this after we get through the exam. That's all I have.
Okay.
I know there's a lot. I know there's a lot in between, but
Understood.
yeah, that's all I have. I would like to. I will schedule a conference on 18C02. So Greg and who else is on that case with me? I'll email you.
Debbie is. I am.
This
Debbie.
Thank you, Deb. Greg and Deb, I'll email you this week to schedule a CRT meeting so that we'll have something to report on that for the next meeting.
You said that 20C03 was administratively dismissed. Can you remind me where we stand with 20C04?
20C04, I need to go into the office and redact all the documents that were submitted. This is 20C04 is a private citizen complaint. And I don't know whether or not the claims are meritorious, but there are a lot of documents that have been submitted and they need to be redacted before I can send them out. So I can honestly say it's a complaint against an LSP. It's not something that I can dismiss administratively because it's more than a fee dispute. But I have to get the documents redacted. I did acknowledge to the complainant that the case had been docketed, and so the complainant is just waiting for further action.
So if there's a lot of documents that need to be reviewed to determine whether or not this case will be accepted or dismissed for whatever reason, do we need to form a screening team for that? A screening team might be helpful. I do need to notify the LSP, send our form letter to the LSP so that I can get a due date for the LSP's response. And that I can take care of this month. So on 20C04, I will send out a letter to the LSP
notifying him and giving him a time for response so I can move that case along a little bit. Does that answer your question, Jamie?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
All right. There's not any other questions or discussions on the old business. Moving along to new business, is there anything new to report, Beverly?
Nope. No new complaints.
Okay.
Hold
All
on, I
right.
had a
Go
question
ahead.
from Wendy Rundle.
Yes.
What were the administrative reasons for dismissing 20C03? Fee dispute, ? Other ?
Failed to state a claim. And I have to look at my notes to see why it was dismissed. I'll see if I can dig that up because that occurred, I believe, at the February meeting.
Isn't this the one that you previously discussed with us?
Yes.
Okay.
So if I can't put my hands on it in the next couple of seconds, we can move on. And I'll try and.
So yeah, that decision was made some time ago. So I guess there's the reasoning for that should be captured in the forthcoming minutes when they're finalized.
Yeah. I think it. Excuse me. I'm looking at for February, which is the one file that I'm missing, but it's not. I have January, but it didn't come up in January. It came up before COVID, so I'm thinking February. But it was discussed at a prior board meeting. But I'll make sure that I have a report on 20C03 as to exactly why it was dismissed. I'll discuss that in the next set of minutes.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, at the next meeting. I'm sorry, not the next set of minutes, because this is all virtual. So I'll make sure that I'm able to answer Wendy's question at the January meeting.
Great, thank you. All right, well, I think that concludes the Professional Conduct Committee for today. Next meeting will be at January 12th, 2021. So I will adjourn at 1:12 p.m.
Are we supposed to be doing roll calls for adjournments and coming into session or not?
I don't think we didn't make any decisions that required a vote, right? So is that necessary?
Nope.
Okay.
No, we didn't make any decisions that required a vote. Because the only thing that you would have been voting on were the minutes, and you just got those, so you can't. I didn't expect those to be reviewed today. So that's it.
Okay, great. So we're ready to move with the board meeting. Good afternoon and welcome to the board meeting, Board of Registration of Hazardous Waste Site Cleanup Professionals virtual meeting. I call this meeting to order at 1:13 p.m. Again, as a reminder, please note that this board meeting is being recorded. Announcements. So this time I invite Beverly, the board members, or members of the public to share any announcements of interest to this board. Hearing none, we will continue with the next item. Agenda additions, deletions, or any changes to the draft agenda. So following a
The only, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so following a review of today's board meeting agenda, I'd like to invite anyone for just weighing in on any addition, deletion, or change.
The only change is that you should have been reviewing the February minutes. And again, those are in the office, and I'm hoping to get in the office this coming Sunday. So I'll be able to finish those and send those out for review. The minutes for the board in November 2019, January 2020 have been posted on the website.
Okay, thank you for that, Beverly. So with that agenda change, I move to adopt it with the incorporated change from January to February. Do I hear a second?
Second?
Okay, so by way of roll call, when I call your name, please say yes, and we can proceed with adoption. Deb,
Yes.
Jamie,
Yes.
Farouk,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Millie, yes. Greg, Greg? Greg, are you muted? Okay, no vote from Greg. Gail
Yes.
and David.
Yes.
Okay, so I move to adopt the agenda with the incorporated change from January to February. Okay, again, with regards to the review of the draft meeting minutes, that's been changed to February, and we will be providing any changes to Beverly, and then by way of voting to adopt the draft minutes, we will do that in January. Item 5, let's talk about the vote on renewal dockets. Today, the board is going to be acting on 5 LSP's license renewal dockets, which are up for discussion and voting. Just by way of summarizing, renewal docket number 1 consists of 5 LSPs that have completed all of the LSP license renewal requirements, and thereby their license will have a renewal date of October 30, 2023. At this time, I open the floor for docket question or discussions.
Make a motion to approve renewal docket number 1.
Second.
Right, so those in favor of approving this motion, please say yes when I call your name. Deb,
Yes.
Jamie,
Yes.
Farouk,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Millie's a yes. Greg,
Yes.
Gail,
Yes.
and David. Motion carries. Renewal number 2, docket number 2 consists of 16 LSPs that have completed their LSP license renewal requirements within a 90-day extension. Thereby, their license will have a renewal date of July 30, 2023. And at this time, I open the floor for any docket questions or discussion.
I'm going to recuse from this one. This is Farouk.
Make a motion to approve docket number 2.
Second.
Those in favor of approving this motion, please say yes when I call your name. Deb,
Yes.
Jamie,
Yes.
Farouk abstains. Kathy,
Yes.
No,
Millie's a
Farouk is, Millie, excuse me, Farouk is recused. He's not abstaining from voting. He's on the docket. So he's recused from voting.
Correct. Thank you, Beverly, for that clarification. He's recusing himself from this packet. Kathy?
Yes.
Millie, yes. Greg?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
And David?
Yes.
Motion carries. Renewal docket number 3 consists of one LSP who has completed all of the LSP license renewal requirements. Thereby, his license will have a renewal date of April 30, 2023. At this time, I open the floor for any docket questions or discussion comments.
Motion to approve.
Really, no, before we move on, if I could just interrupt for 1 second and ask Chris to unmute me. I actually had to call in by phone again, which is why I missed that other vote. If he can, I'll just continue to watch and use the telephone.
Okay, so Chris, can you unmute Greg?
He's not on the staff list. Hold on. Yeah, Greg, you're on the attendees list, and I can't unmute you. Because only as a,
Okay, that's. I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm using the link that Victoria sent to me, so as a panelist. So I'll just continue to use the telephone.
Okay, but you are able to vote, Greg. Is that right?
Yes. Well, yes, as long as I use my mobile phone. Fine.
Okay.
yeah, you're not showing up on the staff list, which I have control over muting and unmuting. So that's the only reason why I can't change that.
That's all right. That's all right. Sorry to interrupt.
Okay, so with regards to renewal docket number 3, I heard a motion to approve this renewal docket as recorded. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay, so those in favor of approving this motion, please say yes when I call your name. Deb,
Yes.
Jamie,
Yes.
Farouk,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Millie, yes. Greg,
Yes.
Gail,
Yes.
David.
Yes.
Motion carries. Renewal docket number 4 consists of 3 LSPs who have completed all LSP license renewal requirements within 1 year. Thereby, their license will have now a renewal date of October 30, 2023. At this time, I open the floor for docket questions or further discussion.
So this is Kathy. I have a question. So their original renewal date is January, but their future renewal date is October.
That's how the docket stands. Beverly, if you don't mind just providing us with your thoughts on that.
You're on docket number 4.
Yes.
This case is different because these people's licenses had lapsed. So they came back into the fold within 1 year. And they were assigned a new renewal date based on them coming back into the fold within 1 year. And that is under 3.09. I'm sorry, not 3.09, 3.06. Uh, 3.065. A licensed site professional didn't complete all his requirements within 1 year. I'm sorry, it's, I'm sorry, it's 309 CMR 3.064. So the license, the expiration date changes under section 4, subpart 4, because the person failed to renew their license and it lapsed. And so they came back into the fold within 1 year.
Okay,
So that's
so it's
4A.
Cool.
If you look at 4A, Kathy, specifically, that's a person whose license has lapsed and is coming back in.
okay, I understand now. So it's only
you,
people that have the
you
90-day
see-
extension.
Yeah, you see there that it will run from the 30th, whatever date occurs soonest or after the date that the board approves the renewal. And that's why those dates are different. Those people have been lapsed and they're coming back in under 3064.
Okay, so it's only the 90-day extension ones that go backwards to their original renewal date.
That's right. That's a
Okay.
whole different section that I quoted in the email.
Yep, I have it straight in my head now.
Yep. That's under 5. The 1 year is under 4, and the 90-day extension is under section 5.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for clarifying that, Kathy, raising that and Beverly clarifying. So with that, I move to approve this renewal docket as recorded. Do I have a second?
Second.
Those in favor of approving this motion, please say yes when I call your name. Deb,
Yes.
Jamie,
Yes.
Farouk,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Millie is a yes. Greg,
Yes.
Gail,
Yes.
and David.
Yes.
Motion carries to approve this docket number 4. Renewal docket number 5 consists of 2 LSPs that have requested a 90-day extension. Thereby, their license renewal date would be January 28, 2021. At this
I
time,
have a
open the
question on this one based on, oh, sorry, you haven't asked, but okay, go ahead.
That's okay. Go ahead and discuss.
I just have a question because this is the 90-day extension. So why isn't it the October date?
Because they're getting 90 days to get back in from
No,
October.
the renewal date. Go back to the first one.
Extension period.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah, that has to do with the 90-day extension period. So they're asking.
They're requesting it, not completing it.
Right.
That's right. So
they get 90 days.
Go ahead.
They get 90
Deb.
days. It's not. No, go ahead. You go ahead, Beverly. It's
90 days from their request, October 30th, would be January 28th, 2021.
No, but this is just a request. Why doesn't it go back? I mean, why is that different? I just want to make sure that that's different from the ones that completed their 90-day extension and went back to their original date.
Okay, it's
This is not
correct.
a renewal date. I don't think this is a renewal date. This is a date that they have to have completed it by.
That's right.
It's not a renewal
we
date. That's all I'm saying.
I know, but we always use that term.
Okay.
They have
You need to be
30th.
careful. Okay,
well,
whatever.
If they don't complete the requirements, then they go. It's a different new renewal date because it extends to a year. So you don't know which way it's going to go. I mean,
I don't think it's a renewal date. I think it's they have to have their stuff done by this date. It's not a renewal date.
We're all saying the same thing, Gail. We're all saying the same thing. Everybody agrees. The January date is the date by which they have to complete their requirements.
Yes, which isn't a renewal date.
Well, it's a temporary renewal date.
Whatever you want to call it. It's not the same renewal date as it is referred to up above, when they went back to, because their renewal date, if they make this deadline of January 28th, their renewal date will be October 30th, 2023.
That's
And that'll
right.
be on a different docket in the future.
That's right.
But I'm just saying it's not a renewal date. That's all. I mean, whatever we want to call it, maybe we've always done it this way, but the reality is if they make this date, their renewal date will be October 30th, 2023.
This is the way it's always been done for the last however many years.
That's right.
It's never
And
changed.
we don't, exactly, Chris. And as Deb says, Gail, we don't know if they're going to make it or not.
I agree. No, I agree. We don't, and that's the problem. I mean, I just didn't think it was called a renewal date because
Yeah,
I can understand why Kathy was confused by the July one that we had up front.
I think you know, even though we've done it for many years, it might make sense just to change it. Maybe we call it 90-day extension date or something like that, just so that.
No, because we can't go back and undo. We can't.
I know. As
can't
long
go
as we
back
all
and undo
understand
it.
what happens, here's the thing: as long as we all understand what happens, that when they get it in by that date, that their renewal date will be October 30th, 2023. That's fine.
Barbara understands that.
Okay, then that's fine. That's all I care about.
I do have a question here, though. You know, Beverly, just because we have been making an error for the past 10 years does not necessarily mean that we continue it, okay? So if there's a possibility of making this thing much better and accurate and not in error, because right now, like Gail had said, it is a term that is in error or it's ambiguous. So
I wouldn't say it's an error, and also too, we have to make sure it jives with the regulations because it always says renewal in the regs.
So this is something that we may need to discuss and come up with a term that is going forward will be more accurate.
This is all. This goes beyond what the board thinks because EDEP needs a definitive date when they can shut this the folks who are on docket 5 off. So this is not just for our own record keeping purposes, it's also for EDEP. So EDEP knows that the folks on docket number 5 are supposed to be shut off at midnight on January 28th, 2021, unless they have received notice from me or Barbara.
And when that happens,
so what they enter into the system in EDEP is this date, and the designation in EDEP is renewal date. That's the expiration. It's really the expiration date.
okay, that's fine. Now that makes sense. If you say expiration date, that's fine because then it's correct.
Yeah, I do all this, so I know exactly what's going on. Those dates are
Exactly.
the expiration date in EDEP. I enter them and make sure that people can submit in EDEP. Everybody's
Right.
got an expiration date.
And in the January meeting, if they happen to have gotten their documents in before the January meeting, we will see a docket that says they completed their requirements for renewal and their new renewal date is October 30th, 2023. Is that correct?
Yes.
That's right.
Okay,
That's
fine.
correct.
Then it's okay.
I make
It'll
a
work.
motion to approve.
Just by way of, I guess, for future purposes, would it be worthwhile to have a footnote on dockets, that the renewal date, we're not going to change the new renewal date terminology, we're not going to be changing that, but at least asterisk the date to reflect that this is really an expiration date so that as we review the packet, we know what the intention is without really tweaking or changing terminology.
Yeah, but you know that from the dates. I don't see any point in making any changes. It's
Our
the
regs
date.
don't, our regs
Yeah, I
don't
mean,
talk about expiration dates. Sorry,
right.
Beverly. Our regs don't
No,
say anything about expiration dates. It's renewal dates.
No,
So
I
like,
understood. I understood that point, Deb. I'm just noting that perhaps if it's helpful, right after January 28, 2021, just have an asterisk there that references back at the bottom of the page, that it's a reflection of the expiration date as it was described today.
there are expiration dates in that way if you're going to change it. I mean, they're all, even if it's 3 years away, it's an expiration date.
All these
So
dates are expiration dates for LSPs. That's exactly what these are.
Okay, so I was just trying to reconcile the renewal date, which is an official terminology, with the EDEP concept of flagging and basically managing deadlines. That was just the intention there.
I make a motion to approve docket number 5.
Second.
Those in favor of approving the motion, please say yes when I call your name. Deb,
yes,
Jamie,
Yes.
Farouk,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Melissa, yes. Greg,
Yes.
Gail,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
motion carries. Okay. Next, we're going to be talking about the application review panels 310, 311, and 312. At this time, I'd like for Beverly to please give us a summary of these ARPs.
yes. So, ARP 310, I'll talk about Mr. Straley first. He was approved to sit for the exam. The panel members felt that he had a great application, that he had very good project descriptions and very strong references. He was also the principal decision maker on many projects, and they felt that his application was well written. The other person on so Mr. Straley was approved to sit for the exam. We recommend that he be approved to sit for the exam. Ms. Lombardo had a very impressive application. She had a broad range of technical experience, and the panel felt that it was great to see someone who is such a strong candidate. Everyone concurred that even very early on, this applicant was doing LSP work, and it was very well written application with good content and very strong references. As a result, Ms. Lombardo was approved to sit for the exam. We recommend that she be approved. ARP 311 was Jesse Freeman. Mr. Freeman was approved to sit for the exam. The panel members felt that he managed a good number of projects. He had 10 to 11 years of experience, and he was approved to sit for the exam. We recommend that he be approved. The panel members recommended that he be approved to sit for the exam. ARP 310 was held on 10/27/20. ARP meeting 311 was held on 10/22/20. ARP 312 was held on November 4th. This is Ms. Lauren McKinley's application. She was, the panel recommends that she be approved to sit for the exam. They felt that she had a strong application and more than enough RPE and TPE. They also felt that she had a very good breadth of experience and very strong references, a lot of different roles and responsibilities. Her project descriptions were very effective in conveying her different roles. And they recommend that she be approved to sit for the exam.
This
Thank
is
you,
David.
Beverly.
Just to clarify on ARP 311, Jesse Freeman, you said 10 to 11 or 10 to 12 years of experience. I just want to note to people that that's RPE, not total.
Yes. Yep. Thank you. It's RPE. Yep.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the recommendations of application review panels 310, 311, and 312, or if we have to do them separately, we can. But
I think we can probably manage all of them since all the recommendations are for approval to sit through the exam.
Second it.
Okay, so please say yes when I call your name. Deb,
Yes.
Jamie,
yes.
Farouk,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Millie said yes. Greg,
Yes.
Gail,
Yes.
and David.
Yes.
Motion carries to accept the ARP panel member recommendations. Thank you so much to everyone for taking the time to move these along. Much appreciated. At this time, I'd like to turn this agenda item also to Beverly regarding the assignment of ARP number 313.
I need volunteers to sit on this ARP.
David will do it.
I'll do it, Jamie.
Need a third.
Farouk.
I'm sorry, who?
That Farouk. I can do it too.
All right. Thank you. I'll send the file.
I'll send you my recusal too. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now we will be moving on to other licensing related matters. And at this time, Beverly, if you could kindly provide us with an update regarding all of the with regards to the total number of active LSPs and discussion on the inactive status ones.
As of November 6th, there were 467 licensed LSPs. And there were 3 folks on inactive status.
Questions, comments?
Just a clarification, the individuals who went on inactive status during June, did they request to go on inactive status, or it wasn't because they didn't comply with education requirements? Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Inactive status is a separate portion of the regs, and you have to apply and be in good standing to be approved to go on inactive status, and it lasts for 2 years.
Right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great, thank you. All right, so then moving on to number 7, examination committee meeting, January 2021. Beverly, if you could please also provide us with an update on this matter.
That is the update. We're going to have a we're going to have the next meeting in January of 2021.
Beverly, is that meeting still taking place in Worcester?
What meeting?
Oh, pardon.
It'll be
Sorry
virtual.
about that.
Which meeting?
Sorry, Beverly, that was my question. It's number 8 related to the exam report. So,
Okay, well, I can give the exam report.
yeah,
Okay, so we currently have 10 eligible applicants to sit for the exam, and that's counting right up through ARP 312. I don't know whether or not we're going to get to the newest application before the exam, and we can approve the person, but I don't know whether or not we'll be able to accommodate the person to sit for the exam. And let me explain in more detail why. I have just gotten the protocols from EEA and the Department of Public Health regarding the test takers, and these are the instructions. Excuse me. Exam takers will be asked to remain. It will be in Zero in Worcester. The applicants, we're about to send letters out now that we finally heard from EEA and the Department of Public Health, because the guidelines were changed. The room was configured for 6 feet of distance between people, and now they're putting 8 feet between people, between the test takers. So they will have to remain in their car until they're instructed by text to come in. When they come in, they'll only use one door, and we are hiring a contractor who will take their temperature. If they have a fever, their temperature will be taken 2 more times, and depending on the readings, they'll be sent home. If they pass that test, they will go to their assigned desk. They will have to wear their masks at all times in the room. No food or drink is allowed in the room. They will not be allowed to eat lunch in the building. There will be 5 staff members in the building. They will not be physically in the room. This kind of took a lot of planning, because the conference room is 28 feet by 46 feet. And so they physically had to design a floor plan, with schematics, so that there are 10 to 11 desks, and we're not sure, as I said, about being able to fit that 11th desk in the room. The week before, we'll go in, make sure everything's set up. The test takers will also have to arrive at least 30 minutes before, and they are going to have to fill out a COVID form saying that they have not experienced any symptoms, that they have not traveled, or where they have traveled out of the country, that sort of thing. So they're going to have that survey we're putting online, so that they will be able to complete the survey prior to the exam date. And that's where all the COVID questions and the contact tracing questions will be answered. If they haven't done that, then they can't take the exam. And that was all I had.
Okay, any questions? Okay, thank you, Beverly, for that good report back. All right, so at this time, I'd like to have David provide us with a summary report for today's Continuing Education Committee meeting.
Yep, we met today in the month of November, not the month of October. And we got an update on
Lost you, David.
Gone. Hello.
Hello, David.
Okay.
I mean, it shows that David's speaking, but we can't hear him.
His computer might have locked up.
Okay. Well,
Let's then move on to professional conduct, and then we can skip back to continuing education. If I could have Jamie provide us with the summary report for today.
Yes, everybody was present for the committee meeting. We discussed reviewing the minutes from February to be completed for the January meeting. Went through the updates on the cases as they were available, and we will be meeting in January. No action was taken that required a vote.
Thank you, Jamie. Okay, David, are you online?
yeah, we've got to get David back so we can, because there are committee recommendations that have to be voted on. We can skip down.
Looks like he dropped off, so he might be restarting his computer.
Okay. I can give the reg report and we can just keep moving on down the line until we go back. So
That
we can
sounds
go
great.
back to David. So the reg report.
this is David.
Oh, just in time. Go ahead, David.
I had to log back in. So I'm not sure what you heard, but we met today.
Nothing.
Excuse me?
Heard nothing.
Oh. Continuing Ed Committee met today, November, not in October. We talked about the availability of previous draft minutes. We approved an LSPA course for 1 credit. The American Groundwater Trust webinar on-demand course. We asked for more information. There was a course announcement for an LSPA course, and we have an answer for AEHS, UMass conference relative to their inquiry. And the next meeting is in January after a 1-month gap.
Make a motion that we approve the recommendations of the Continuing Education Committee.
Second,
Okay, so as I call your name, just state yes, or state how you would like to vote on this. So Deb,
Yes.
Jamie,
Yes.
Farouk,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Melissa, yes. Greg,
Yes.
Gail,
yes.
and David.
Yes.
Motion carries to approve the recommendations from the committee. Thank you. Okay, and Beverly, you were going to proceed with discussing the Regulations Committee meeting report back?
Right. So we went through 8.00 and the committee members, the folks who attended had questions about whether or not we can strike person for and use LSP instead, and I agreed to do some research to try and find out what we should do about that particular piece. And then we made a few other changes to the language in section 8.01. And Mr. Smith suggested that we look at 8.14, and I'll do some research to find out whether or not we need to update that section on service to include some advancements in technology.
Okay. Let's see. So Beverly, if you could please provide us with a summary or report back on personnel, budget, and fees.
Yep, it's, pardon me. My only report has to do with personnel. The interviews for the general counsel are taking place on November 13th, 2020 and November 17th, 2020. Next week.
Okay, great. Okay, so comments, questions before we go into any other discussions, budget and fees. Okay, so Beverly, no updates on budget and fees, pretty much akin to the one that you reported on last month.
No, there's no new information. When I have new information, I report it.
Okay, thank you. All right, so moving on to 11C, board member replacements. Beverly?
I met with the commissioner and reminded him that no action has been taken on board member replacements. He indicated that he would contact, excuse me, the boards and commissions office in the governor's office. He did, and I don't know whether or not he's done that yet. He hasn't gotten back to me. He did indicate that there are other boards within EEA that also are in the same boat in terms of needing replacement or reappointment. So,
okay. Great. All right, and our last topic is the draft LSP board letter to Commissioner Suberg regarding staff vacancies. And I just want to remind everyone that this topic has a nexus with a request that stemmed from various board members at the September 23rd board meeting. Excuse me, 13 board meeting. So board members were provided with a draft letter, which I penned, and I sought comments. I received comments from Kathy and Greg. I myself have a few more comments, and I believe that Beverly also had some additional comments. So I just want to open the floor for discussion.
My first question is the letter coming from the board or is it coming from you, Millie?
So the letter is coming from the board, which basically, in one of my comments was whether we should have me signing it with a CC to all, or basically just very sincerely yours, the board.
Oh,
So-
okay, because throughout the letter, you talk about I. So in some places, you talk about I, and in some places, you talk about we or the board. So it's, we've got to make you guys need to make a decision about who's signing and whether or not it's going to be in the first person or you're going to use the board. And in the very first paragraph, so it's an we board thing. In the very first paragraph, it says, under the direction of the board's executive director, I have a name, and I'd like for my name to be there. So I'm going to, the things that I'm suggesting, I'm going to send to Millie and the rest of the board members. In paragraph 2, it says, however, the board has experienced great difficulty in filling these positions. That's not accurate. It's me that's conducting the interviews, and I just don't think that's accurate. So again, I'm labeled the executive director. I have a name, and I'm just, I don't like being referred to as an inanimate object. So again, I'll send my corrections on that, my notes, suggestions. And I think I'll just, to shorten this, circulate my comment.
Okay, we much
Those are-
appreciate that.
Those
And,
are the ones that I had. Yep.
Sure, that's great. I think we appreciate everyone expressing comments and circulate the comments. This letter will then, we need, clearly it's from the board. So that's how I started the letter on behalf of the board. I write to express, but basically I was trying to carry the sentiment from the board, and hence why I identified it as me as a signature and having everybody's names, including yours, Beverly, on the CC. That was pretty much my fix. If anyone else believes that there's a different path forward, I'm more than happy to accommodate for that. My additional comment had to do that I need to strike the word honorable. It's a designation that it's really reserved for elected officials. So it's going to go as Commissioner Suberg and dear Commissioner Suberg. So those two. So if anyone has comments, kindly please route them my way. And then this letter,
It seems appropriate to me that the letter would be from you as the chair of the board, and obviously it's the request is coming from the board as a whole, which I think is clear enough from the letter.
Okay, and then to that end, I will be sure that I CC Beverly and everybody who's on the board. If you see your name and somehow do not want to be on this letter, you need to let me know, but I understood it and took it to mean that it's a request from the board members. And just on that final note, the letter needs to bear the LSP board letterhead, so.
I told you, Millie, every Word document that I have, you can just, it cuts and pastes.
Yep, I intend to do
every
that.
word.
Yep,
Yep.
I intend to do that. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, well, thanks. I think that seems to be the last item. So with that, our next virtual meeting will be held on January 12th, 2021, and I want to thank Beverly and all the board members for your dedication. And with that, I move to adjourn this meeting. And the meeting hereby is adjourned. 2:04.
Thank you and happy holidays, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye
Bye,
now.
everybody. Happy holidays.
Thanks.